The Makers in Minnesota holiday gift box is something I've been thinking about for a long time. I'm Stephanie Hansen, and the whole reason I do the podcast is to introduce people to the cool maker scene happening in the Twin Cities. I love being the one to tell you to buy the Sota Crackler candles because they smell amazing, or to try the Nuts of the North from Isadore Nuts because not only will they be the best chai nuts you've ever had, but 50% of her workforce are people with disabilities. Tasha's company is helping people reach their goals by teaching them life skills, and that's not something you might know just looking at the package. Bear Honey is all about the bees, of course, but I specifically chose their vanilla and hot honeys as they are wonderful for baking or on a cheese board, and Lost Capital Hot Sauce is a fermented sauce. These guys are so entertaining to listen talk about hot sauce, and they mentor other sauce creators in town to share the love. K-Mama's sauce, Korean ketchup, has long been a favorite of mine, as has Heather's Dirty Goodness seasoning that adorns my Thanksgiving turkey every year. Even something as simple as fresh peanut butter turns into magic when you add apples and cinnamon, and it's 100% fresh, no preservatives. Cheryl has made this batch just for me and for you, and Gustola granola has been a personal favorite of mine for a long time, as well as BT McElrath's Salty Dog Bites and their Annie B caramels. Even sponges are superior when made in Minnesota, right? And if you haven't tried biltong yet, you know, the jerky that is marinated with 6 timeless ingredients that are then air-dried and thinly sliced to perfection with no added sugars. The result is a truly authentic Minnesota-made snack by way of Southern Africa, and the first 150 boxes sold will find a bonus bag in their box. All of the products in the Makers of Minnesota box were curated by me due to their tastiness or the stories that made them uniquely Minnesotan. And each of these folks have shared their story with me on the Makers of Minnesota podcast. We're going into our 4th season, and there are lots of boxes you can buy out there to ship to friends and family. But please consider the one that's made in Minnesota and curated by me so you can share the stories through the podcast of these makers. Boxes are $65 and can be found at loveminnesotabox.com/gifting or by the link on my website at stephaniesdish.com, or you can also find links to order on the Makers of Minnesota Facebook page. Delight in 12 Minnesota-made items and share your love of the great maker community in our state and help support the makers that make it great. Boxes are $65 and can be found at loveminnesotabox.com/gifting, or you can also find links to order on the Makers of Minnesota Facebook page. Hi, it's Stephanie Hansen from the Makers of Minnesota podcast, and let me introduce you to featured makers in our Minnesota Makers Holiday Gift Box. It's Laura Munn with Minnesota Cracklers and also Heather Manley with Heather's Dirty Goodness Seasoning and Spice Company. Both of these makers do an excellent job of putting forth Minnesota-ness in their products with the crackling of the candles and the hearty, warm spices of Minnesota fall evenings and out there at the campfire with Heather's Dirty Goodness. Here we go. Meet your makers. Our friend Laura Munn, she is with Sota Cracklers, and you will find the candle that you are going to love and want to buy a larger one in your own time in the box that we have for holiday for Makers in Minnesota. And when I first talked to Laura, it was kind of a hard time because it was right as COVID was happening. And I really knew right then that I wanted to include her if I did any kind of a box down the road, because Laura, I think your candles are so unique and they're not easy to make.
No, there's many, many steps involved, actually.
Yeah. And the little one that we have in there is such a great scent, and it really evokes memories of Minnesota for me and cabin time. How do you pick your scents?
Well, the one that's in the box is called Nordic Forest, and it's white birch and cypress, and I think there's a little bit of bayberry in there maybe. And sometimes the name comes first. Sometimes I have a fragrance that I really think is fabulous, and then I find a way to incorporate that in. But Nordic Forest is kind of to represent that more wintry feel that we get in Minnesota when it's just everything is frozen and we have the evergreens and all that.
And it's like a winter walk in the woods. I love it so much.
Yeah, there's a little spearmint in that one too that gives it kind of a nice icy smell to it.
Yeah, I really like it very much. And I was really pleased to be able to include it in the box. When you are thinking about like holiday and gifting, is there any special candles that you have that really speak to that holiday gift giving type of buyer?
Yeah, absolutely. Each year we do some new holiday scents, but I have been bringing back the same three kind of, I call them my classic holiday scents each year. And Nordic Forest is one of them, but this is kind of our biggest, most popular one is called Christmas Cabin. And it's just kind of your perfect classic holiday candle, and everybody sort of loves it. And it has a rustic holly berry and cinnamon stick smell to it. And it's just wonderful. And so this year we've kind of found new ways to do it. And we're doing a special red holiday tin that's very beautiful in terms of decor and all that. We'll also have it, of course, available in our glass jars that we always do.
Sure. Where can people find that if they love what they got in their Makers of Minnesota box and they want to find more of it? Where would you send them to find that candle?
They'll be able to get that on our website, but if we end up selling out, which we might, they can get that at lots of stores. They'll be able to find that at the General Store of Minnetonka, at Inspired in New Ulm, Minnesota, and I believe at Smith and Trade in Stillwater. Actually, like that red tin will just be at a few select stores. Although we're doing a lot of it, we don't really have quite enough of it to go to every single stockist.
Well, and that's what's kind of cool about these Makers of Minnesota boxes, your special editions, like, you got to get on it when the time is here because we do little special runs of things that are meaningful for us. So Laura, thank you for being in our box. I knew right away when I was looking at what kind of makers I wanted to put in there that I wanted to highlight your product because I'm very enamored with it. And I just really appreciate you being in the box.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Laura. Bye-bye.
Bye.